This video is to answer some questions posed by seafarers contacting the helpline Seafarer Help in the unprecedented emergency of the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Kate Thompson and I'm a counselling psychologist in the UK. I hope this video can answer some important questions that have been raised by seafarers at this difficult time. This is a really important question, but before answering, I just want to point out some of the special strengths of seafarers, things that will be really helpful to you during this period. You've developed skills that we in the general population are going to need to learn in order to better manage coronavirus. For example, you already have the ability to manage long periods where you can't circulate freely because you're on board a vessel, or times when you don't see your close family for months on end. And you also know how to manage boredom by making sure you stay connected with people around you, stay connected remotely, and have some activities that you can enjoy on board. Please do draw on these strengths and even share them with others so that we can all manage the pressure and boredom of the coming weeks. I would definitely suggest taking a look at the guides produced by IceOne to help you with some of these issues. A key thing is to make sure you've got enough activities to make the time you have while quarantined pass less heavily. Make sure you balance your time between different areas, having some time for physical exercise, and I've always been impressed by the ways in which seafarers can use their limited environments to enjoy exercise and sport, time for contemplation or quiet activities, and time for connecting with others. If you can build stronger relationships within the crew, this can also really help, as your crew members are in the same position as you and will understand your worries and frustrations better than anyone else. Another piece of advice is to monitor how much news you're accessing. Are you online checking every story about COVID-19? If so, is this making you more anxious rather than helping you feel calm? A lot of the time we can become a bit over-focused on the threat and devote a lot of time to learning all we can about it. However, there's a great deal of contradictory information circulating, and spending too much time sifting through this can make things worse. Above all, be kind to yourself. These circumstances are really unusual and will put pressure on everyone. We have a lot to offer each other in managing this crisis, and drawing on that may be our most important strength of all. This is a really difficult situation that some seafarers are experiencing as a result of ports closing in response to the crisis. It brings up enormous uncertainty for the seafarers and can mean people are outside ports waiting for long periods. All the advice I've already mentioned is important in this especially demanding situation, but it's perhaps even more crucial when anxiety is high and there's limited information about when the situation might change and when you might be permitted to dock somewhere. Try to schedule in activities and balance your time between getting some physical exercise, having some quiet activities, and socialising with others, as well as making sure to connect with family and friends as much as you're able. People are different in how they manage worry, and it's always important to know what helps you feel less anxious. Do you feel more relaxed after doing some exercises in your cabin or a run around the ship? Do you feel more at ease after a coffee and a chat with a friend on board? Do you feel less anxious when you have time for prayer or meditation? Use all the resources you have and maybe experiment with some things you haven't tried before. You can also help other people in your crew by starting conversations about these issues. You might find they could learn a new way of coping from you or you from them that would really be helpful. Whole team activities like playing small-scale sports or games or sharing a film can also be beneficial, although at this time it's important to factor in any need you may have to use social distancing on board. It must be so difficult for seafarers who are far from those they love at a time of threat and may feel very anxious about their family and friends, especially in countries with a lot of cases of COVID-19 infection. This is completely normal. It's normal to feel anxious and to want to go straight to your family when there are threats of this kind. It's a natural human response to danger. However, we all need to remain mindful of the dangers we can bring home with us, and at the moment recommendations are to stay at a distance from one another in case we spread the virus further. Rushing home to your family might put them at risk, and although it goes against a natural tendency in us, it might be safer to just check in with family remotely as often as you can. I should also say there are real dangers of getting stranded. So if a seafarer does set off for home, there's a risk they might be held in quarantine in some places, which would prevent the onward journey, and also the risk of travel disruption that would keep you far from your family, perhaps with less access to them remotely. It's probably advisable to weigh all these factors up carefully before taking any action. I'd like to mention again the really helpful guides by IceOne, which provide extra information on positive steps you can take to stay mentally well, on maintaining psychological health on board ship, and on managing stress and problems with sleep. And these guides are available online for download. The Seafarer Help Helpline is available both via telephone and via online live chat, and they can offer advice and links to other organisations and resources. In the case that you are worried about somebody who seems to have a serious difficulty with their mental health, perhaps seeming as though they could be a risk to themselves or to others in the crew, it's really important to let your employer know. Sometimes it's important to confine somebody to a safe place for a period, and in some cases people may need to be medically evacuated. If your vessel is under quarantine, it may be that the person is evacuated to quarantine on land, although particular circumstances will vary from case to case. Crews that are quarantined for long periods or diverted and unable to land are under intense pressure, and in this case, it's not surprising that individuals may find the pressure too much and require extra help. Do draw on all the resources and support organisations to help with this, as well as making sure that your employers are aware of what's going on. I do hope that these answers have been helpful and will encourage you to look after yourselves well throughout this difficult time. I'd also really like to reassure you that organisations like IceOne and individuals all around the world are working hard to support you. You have not been forgotten, and I'm hoping that with your fortitude and knowing this, you will stay safe and well all the way through this crisis.